Alright, so I assume you've just watched the video. So this is basically just going to be me explaining how I did it. Which was, I mean, it's pretty easy for a normal Blender person, but having only just gotten it 4 or 5 days ago, I'm pretty proud of myself. So let's get into it. So first of all, we have a cube. Cubes are pretty easy. They come in Blender. I mean, you really don't have to do anything. I mean, I did have to make it bigger, but that's a standard tool in Blender. The most interesting things that we're going to be talking about is the shading that I have on it. So first of all, it's super reflective. Second of all, it's got these scuff marks on it. It's got these like little looks like someone drug their fingernails across it or something. Ooh, I really like that one right there. Look at that. Ooh. And then, so it's super reflective. It's got all these scuff marks on it. It also has these cracks in it, these very visible cracks in it. And then we also have the little glowing maze on it, the little glowing maze animation. That looks pretty cool. So the way I did this, first of all, created a cube. Second of all, we go into the shading area here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to focus you on this part right here. Let's make this smaller for a second. Yoink. Okay. Yoink. Okay, so first of all, on every single object in Blender, there's a whole bunch of lists here of stuff that you can change, like the base color. So instead of this being blue, I could make it red. And instead of the thing that the maze glowing orange, I could make it glow blue, or I could make it glow green. Ooh, that looks pretty cool. Christmas. And there's also like settings like bloom here on the right, so I mean, it's clearly emitting light, but it doesn't look as glowy as if I have it on. And then ambient occlusion here. Ambient occlusion basically just means that when it casts a shadow on itself, you can see the shadow basically. And then bloom here is literally just how much like flare or glare the camera's getting. Okay, so we can change these back to the old values. Boop. There we go. Okay, so first question, how do we get the color? I showed you. How do you get the reflectiveness? Well, that's the metallic tint here. I can put it all the way down to 0, and now it looks like we have a hold on. Okay, and now it looks like we've got plastic, but as you notice, it's still pretty dang reflective. Well, that's because it's so clean. If we turn the roughness on it up, shunk, now you can't see your reflection in it at all. So if we turn that down, again, reflective. Halfway through, kind of reflective. You can see faint light and like colors and tint in it and stuff like that, but you can't see the actual colors. But if we turn the roughness all the way down, you can see the actual trees in the surrounding area and stuff, and the fences and the sun and stuff. But so the way that I got the scratches on it, because you notice the scratches aren't there anymore, only the cracks are. So if we go over here, we have this little node here where we basically, if I go here, we basically took a picture of scratches. We have a picture of scratches here, pixelated picture of scratches. And what happens is you take this picture of, hold up, I'm going to get a normal cube here just so it's easier to see. You take this picture of scratches and you apply it to this cube. The way you apply it to this cube is you grab the cube, you plop it on the paper or on the little UV map, and you fold the map around the cube, and that's what this is right here. It's the little net. So if we were to take the cube and we were to put it right there on this little square, and we rolled it around, we could fill each side with the little scratch marks. So if we do this here, we can show there's the scratches. That's how it renders the scratches, and this is how it renders the maze. But oh, hold up, that's not. Oh, that's the maze gross. Okay, that's how it renders the maze on there. But yeah. Anyways, okay. So we can go back to shading now. So that's basically how we do scratches. We plug the image of the scratches into the roughness here, We turn the metallic all the way up. Oop. And that's how we get that look. The way that this works is it takes the image of the scratches, turns it into little, basically it should be non-color data. Let's see how that looks. Not as good. So basically it takes the data from that picture, and the data tells the computer on each of these scratches how reflective or how shiny this should even be. And it tells it in which direction the light is going to reflect. That's why on some of the scratches it doesn't just block light, it also distorts light. It curves the image. And so that's how the UV maps for scratches works. And so how do we get this animation? How do we get it to look like a maze is growing all over our cube? Well, that's another map. So if we go here, we take our maze. So this is using a an add-on that a YouTuber created. The YouTuber's name is There Oughta Be. There Oughta Be is his channel name, and the add-on is called Growth Image. So that's this image right here, but it doesn't look like anything because it's non-color data. But basically what it does is it takes an image and it puts a point in the middle, and it decides how much time does it take to get from that point in the middle to every single pixel on this image. And it costs extra time to go through black points, which means that it tries not to. And that's how we get our maze shape. Which means that it goes through those last. And that's how we, that's why eventually at the end of the animation it gets like super bright here. Let's see if we can, yeah, so like on the inside there we've got super bright, and on the outside too it eventually like gets so bright that you can't actually tell that it's a maze anymore. But let's see here. There we go. So basically it takes all that data from the image, and then we have it set up so that then it splits it up. So the blue channel is the amount of time that it takes to get to each pixel. The green channel is like the distance that it takes to get to each pixel, and the red channel is I don't remember what. But it compares it with this value, and this value is how we control the that's how we control the animation. The bigger the value is, the more time has passed, and therefore the more of the maze that is covered or is visible. And the way that works is it as soon as it's finished comparing those two numbers, it gives out a value, and that value tells it how much of this color should be visible. And because I have it plugged into emission, basically it just, black means that it's not emitting anything, and white means that it's emitting 100% of its emittance power. And so so basically it ramps it up to white. The higher the value is, the more of it it's emitting. And then we multiply that by a specific by just 10. That way we can get it to be brighter, even when it's at like 1. And then if we go here, so if we take this off, let's see here. Boom. Boom. Okay. So if we take this and connect this, you're going to see a different animation. Let's go all the way to the beginning here. So notice it's growing differently. Well, that's because once again, the add-on is still able to go through the blacks. It just costs more time. And so it goes through it eventually because it needs to get to every pixel eventually. And so it'll go through the pixels that are closest to it first, and that's why it kind of looks all blotchy right now. And you'll notice that's definitely not the animation that I was using, right? The reason is we have this little mixer here. So what we do is plug that in there. Okay. So what we do is we have the actual picture of the maze here outputting into this mixer, and what that does is it basically filters which parts of the animation we can see. So now we can only see the parts of the animation that are part of the maze. Man, where did it go? Oh, well, sometimes that happens, actually. Ah, that's why, because I didn't plug it in, because I was silly. Okay. There we go. Okay. So basically, it filters out which parts of the maze we could see, and makes it so that then we can only see the path, the part that you would normally like walk along, or something like that. And so, so basically, that's how we get this little growing animation, is because it's not actually growing; it's just becoming more and more visible from a circular point, and from a short path point, and so it looks like as if it's traveling along that path. When in reality, and that's why it kind of stops at this edge here, when in reality it's literally just filling it up slowly. Yeah. Okay, so now we've talked about how that animation works. Now let's talk about how we get it to explode at the end there. You can go here for that. Okay, cool. So, first of all, we're gonna go backwards. That looks pretty cool, huh? Okay. So, you'll notice, if we go here, it's floating on nothing. Well, that's because there's an invisible thing that it's hovering above. It's hovering above a plane. I don't remember it being green, but I guess it's green. It's hovering above a green plane here. And the reason, the way that it's hovering is because we haven't turned physics on. We haven't even turned gravity on. If we go to scene properties here, and we look at gravity for this invisible sphere here that was hiding, we'll notice that gravity isn't on until this point. If we go back to this frame, gravity is off. If we go past frame 450, gravity turns on. And I specifically made it so that then only past frame 450 would the ball start to fall, because I wanted it to hit the cube as soon as all the mazes are filled in, which I failed to do. I made it hit a little bit before. Let's see here. Yeah, so I made it hit like 3 frames before, really. No, like 6. Which, I mean, it's fine because it still looks really cool, but basically, as soon as it hits it, I have a setting here that basically says, as soon as this fracture of the cube experiences any velocity, and that's here, as soon as it experiences any velocity, it will all of a sudden have gravity affecting it. And as soon as gravity is affecting this, it'll hit the fractures next to it, causing them to experience velocity, and therefore they also begin to experience gravity. And that just causes it to have like that cascading effect of first the top falling, and then the bottom falling, and then all of it falling. And just like in a couple frames it does that. And so in the real render, the floor there, the sphere is invisible, so you don't even see the sphere that hits it. It looks like it's falling out of nowhere for no reason. And the plane underneath it is also invisible, so it looks like it's just all landing on nothing. Well, I mean, it looks like it's landing on this grid in this case, but in the actual video it's all gray. So yeah, there you go. Yes, how do you get the fractures in it rather than just a cube? Well, I'll show you with another cube. Shift A, mesh, cube, move it up here. Okay, so what we can do is we can go to Object, Quick Effects, and Cell Fracture. So what this menu does is it basically looks at the shape that you're trying to fracture, and it will it'll fracture it basically depending on the settings that you have here, and also depending on the geometry of the shape. So if I have this, if I have it on this setting, then basically it'll look at the geometry of the shape and it'll say, oh, how many vertices it has, and it'll, depending on that, it'll be how many cracks it has, and then depending on that, it'll be where exactly those cracks are and how they're shaped. And the noise here just changes like what the cracks look like. So if I crack it right now, it just has 8 completely similar objects. But if I crack it with, or if I fracture it with noise of 1, like that, then we get that look. It's more random. It's got more noise. But you'll notice we in the menu we have 100 cracks or we have 100 fractures chosen, but we only get like 6 or 8 or something like that. So what we do is we go into edit mode and we give it more vertices, because that's what the add-on looks for, is it looks for vertices. So we give it like 20 vertices this way, 20 vertices that way, 20 vertices that way. Go back into this mode, object, quick effects, shelf fracture, and boom. All of a sudden, it has a whole lot more fractures. We just wait for that to load. There you go. Dang. And we can kind of look at it if we do. Hold up. I need to delete the original cube first. There you go. Okay. If we look at it like this, we can like pick out the top half of it there. We can look at the fractures on the inside too. So yeah, anyways, pretty neato. And that's how you get the fractures. And you can, the way that I did it too is I made a set and there were more fractures in the middle. So hold up, you could do that with, if you annotate it here, yep, there we go. You can like draw shapes on it here. Hold up, not that, we gotta like circle here and then X there and there and then, yeah, okay, whatever. Hold up, that doesn't look right. Just, not that it doesn't look right, it just doesn't look the way I want it to. Alright, and then we can go object, first we gotta select it. Boop. Oh, it's still fractured, that's why. I was wondering what was weird. Alright, there we go. Okay, so we can still have all those vertices. Oh, come on. 20, 20, and 20. Alright, so we can still have all those vertices. And then if we draw on it, we can choose exactly where it's going to fracture and what that'll kind of look like. So basically it'll just put more fractures where you annotate it. So if we do that and then we choose that as well, there we go. And it'll load real quick. Alright, there we go. So now we've got way more fractures up here near the drawing than we do on the sides and on the bottom. So yeah, that's basically how you got, or how I got those fractures. And those fractures only experience gravity when the sphere hits them. And that's how it gets the little fall mechanic. So yeah, there you go. Yay! I guess like the video if you want to see, more. Like and share it if you want to see more Blender, cool Blender animations. And that's it. I'll see you later. Bye.